Brian Griese is going to be interviewing for the Jets head coaching job. I mean, anytime you can coach the Jets, that is a definite career springboard. I do think it's interesting that a guy who doesn't even freaking call plays, he's just Brock Purdy's quarterback coach, is getting looked at as a head coach. What do you think of this one?
I think they're doing it because he knows Kyle's offense, and a lot of people, for whatever reason, still want to go that direction. I think it's career suicide. I'm not coaching for the Jets or the Browns or the Bears. If I'm Brian Griese and my goal is to be a head coach, I'm not taking a Jets job. We saw what happened to Saleh and many coaches before him. I think that's an absolute mistake. I don't even know if I'd want that interview. Maybe you take the interview for the experience, but you don't accept that position. I think they just want him because they're trying to pluck Kyle Shanahan's offense. They plucked his defensive coordinator. Now they want to pluck his offensive scheme. And maybe that's smart, I guess. But I don't think Brian Griese should accept that.
This guy's been a quarterback coach for 3 years, and now he's going to be a head coach. Like, really? He did a good job with Brock Purdy for a couple years, I guess. Although Brock was kind of developed already. And now Brock's coming off a down year. And now you want Brian Griese, who's never been a coordinator or an assistant head coach or anything other than a quarterback coach for 3 years. And his entire resume is based on his work with Brock Purdy, who's coming off a Jimmy G year. Like, I think that would be a very Jets thing to do. Maybe Brian Griese will be good. Former quarterback, kind of like maybe KOC or Jim Harbaugh. But KOC was a offensive coordinator. Jim Harbaugh was a head coach in college at 2 different places. Like, maybe Brian Griese needs to prove it a little bit more. Or no, just go to Jets. Just go to the Jets, man. That'll be fun.
I think the best thing Griese's ever done is he's partially responsible for finding Brock Purdy with the last pick of the draft. And that was, that's good to be able to find a starting quarterback last pick of draft, whether I think Brock Purdy's the future of the franchise or not, which I don't. I still think that's a pretty good accomplishment. So maybe they want Griese to install Kyle's offense and to find them a quarterback because they don't have that guy.
In 5 years from today, will Brock Purdy be a starting quarterback in the
NFL? No. I don't even think he'll be on the Niners in 2027.
That's another thing. Like, people point to Brock's numbers or his win-loss record. Like, Jimmy had all that going for him too. And he got paid. And he was the highest paid player in the league for a second and a half. And now he's like clearly a backup. And you wonder, was he always a backup? Was he just getting carried by a good scheme and a good play caller and a good offensive and a good defense and all that? And the answer is probably yes. He was carried by all that stuff. I mean, fair or not, it makes you look at Brock like, all right, man. So what do you bring to the table? And then Dobbs goes out and does essentially what Brock did against the Cardinals. I mean, 24 points, 3 turnovers. So Brock did. It's like, okay, man, like so where's the 60 million again? Like, where's it's the 4 scrambles a game? Like, what are we talking about? I don't know.
There's a handful of quarterbacks that elevate their team, a handful. And then after that, there's guys that are capable of running the offense based on the defense, based on the offensive weapons that are around them, based on the scheme. They can manage it and do well. But Brock's not that kind of quarterback to elevate anything. In fact, he's the opposite of that in the fourth quarters. He costs the 49ers games. I think he's better than Jimmy, but just a hair. If I'm being real, just a hair.
Yeah, and it's like, again, look at how different organizations go about stuff. So Sam Darnold was having a great year. He still might win the Super Bowl. Who knows? But the Vikings are very skeptical. They haven't talked to him about an extension. They could have extended him already. But he just had a bad game against the Lions. There's a lot of reason to keep looking at him and keep seeing what he can do or see if he turns into a pumpkin. And I admire how cautious the Vikings are being. I feel like if the Niners were in their situation, they would have extended Sam Darnold already, and there's no reason to. And the Niners made up their mind they were going to extend Brock Purdy last offseason, and then this season happened. And it seems like they're like, like, we didn't see it. It didn't happen. Like, no, it really happened, man.
What was interesting about the Darnold game last night is that the Lions manned up Darnold 68%, which is more than any other team this season. And you saw how he struggled The Lions are funny, man. They came out and played the Niners some soft zone, and we're just kind of like, hey, this game doesn't really matter. Let's save what we're going to do against the Vikings for the Vikings. And they came out, and Sam Darnold struggled. I mean, he looked worse than Trey Lance yesterday. Trey Lance looked better than Sam Darnold yesterday. Fact.
I was ready to write a bunch of slick tweets about Trey Lance, and then the Cowboys lost.
Yeah, I mean, he's still inaccurate, man. He's got to work on his accuracy. He missed a couple of points that probably could have won the game, but overall, he played like, C, not bad, better than a lot of people said.
I just don't see how he can ever play with like confidence and rhythm, given how he goes like a year or two between starts. Like how he still seems like a guy who's like battling confidence issues, which is so understandable. But anyway,
yeah,
Brian Griese, when he goes and gets the job with the Jets, he could just spend 2 hours in the interview room talking about all of his great work that he did developing Trey Lance. So, Brian, that big project that you gave up on, can we talk about that?
Yeah.
Because it seems like Brock was kind of ready-made.
He'll defer to Brock. He'll spin it to Brock.
Yeah. Bay Area Kev says, why are we assuming premier coaching talent would even want to come here? Head coach and fans will scapegoat you when we inevitably fall short. Ask Wilkes. Do you think Robert Saleh wants to come here? We both say no. Do you think Jeff Ulbrich wants to come here? Maybe.
I think Ulbrich does. I don't think Saleh does.
Mason says, off topic, Sam Darnold played terrible. Yes, he did. Yes, he did. And this is why, like, we've been talking about what to do. I floated Sam Darnold. It's important to remember that you don't have to make the decision until the season's over. So don't make the decision. Don't make your mind up like the Niners seem to have done with Brock. Get all the information that you can. Information is important, especially in a season where in a sport where there's only 17 games.
Yeah.
Jamila 13 says, if the Niners overpay Purdy, they're selling you a bill of goods. They're selling a product and need to make the faithfuls believe it's worth buying.
Well, they're going to have a hard time. What's up, buddy? I know Jamila grew up in the same town. Shout out to him. But like the problem is, if you do this with Brock, at some point it's going to bite you in the ass. Maybe not next year or the year after that, because the salary cap will still be low. But in that,
look at Ryan's face. Looks like a pirate. He's saying, "Arr," doesn't it? Kind of, Louis. Sorry. There you go.
Yeah, this just sucks.
I'm
sorry,
Sinclair
guys.
Is Staley going to be the new DC? Oh my God. Do you think Staley's going to be fired too?
He should be.
I bet you they keep Brandon Staley.
Probably. He'll have a role.
I bet you they keep him.
Don't make him the D coordinator.
And I base it on nothing. Yeah. But I just feel like the Niners always zig when they're supposed to zag.